Okay, I think it's a time. So we shall start. Hello, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to webinar. And today we are going to talk about renewable heating and cooling in Finland. My name is Teppo Arola. I come from the Geological Survey of Finland. We shorten it as a GTK, and I have promised to be a moderator of this meeting. GTK is a research center under the government. We have over 400 people, and basically we are providing solutions for more sustainable growth. And this meeting is organized by EDIP, Renewable Heating and Cooling, and that EDIP is the European Technology and Innovation Platform on renewable heating and cooling, and it brings together stakeholders from the biomass, geothermal, solar thermal, and heat pump sectors, and including the related industries such as district heating and cooling, thermal energy storage, and hybrid system. They are here to define a common strategy for increasing the use of renewable energy technologies for heating and cooling. And EDIP RHC was endorsed in 2008 by the European Commission, and the platform is structured in horizontal working groups and technology panels. And there are 4 horizontal working groups, which are 100% renewable buildings, industries, cities, and districts, where each one is working to promote renewable heating and cooling in the specific sector. The membership in the platform is free of charge. So if you want to become a stakeholder in RHC platform, you can contact the platform directly and send your interest via email. Okay, so EDIP is an organization. And today we have a great group of panelists. I apologize the gender deviation here. It's really not on purpose. I tried to ask 2 ladies, but they were too busy to join. But however, we do have a good group of panelists here. We have Mr. Matti Pentti from ST1 Deep Heat, Mr. Sami Mustonen from Helen. Helen is an energy company, while ST1 is a technology company. And then we have Mr. Simo Haanpää from Helsinki-Uusimaa Regional Council. So I will now give the floor to you, panelists, and if Matti starts, Sami and Simo after Matti, and you can represent yourself and give some presentation about your organization and business. So Matti, floor is yours.
Thank you, Teppo, and thank you for the organizing committee for this opportunity to present our case from Finland and from ST1 as well. I've been involved in the energy business now for some, I think, 30 years almost. And the first years, 26, 27 years, I did on the oil business in various responsibilities, first in ExxonMobil, and then 10 years back I joined ST1. And now the past 2 years I've been responsible for the geothermal business and R&D work for ST1. So within the couple of years now and the years to come, I tried to settle down all of my fossil sins I've been doing the first 26 years. So that much for the background. I will keep a short introduction, who we are, what we do, why we do, and what seems to be the challenge going forward in our opinion at ST1 Limited. But in a very short nutshell, who we are. So ST1 is a Nordic energy company. We are a family company, not in a stock market, but a family company established some 20 years since. Currently, we've been expanding very rapidly, and we are still doing most of our cash flow and revenues on fossil business, because that's the business which we know, that's the business that is out there, and that's the business that enables us, via the positive cash flow, to invest into new endeavors in the renewable business. And because we are not in a stock market, basically we can do whatever we choose to be in our own minds feasible and reasonable and sensible on the R&D on various areas of renewable and sustainable energy. So we are about 6.5 billion euro company, among the 10 biggest companies in Finland, 770 employees, and our home market is Finland, where we started from and where the headquarters is located. But by our acquisitions, we are operating in Sweden and Norway. The most visible thing is our service station network under ST1 and Shell brands in all of the 3 countries. The biggest individual operation is a refinery in Gothenburg, where we have started the company's so far biggest investment, 200 million investment for renewable diesel HVO facility will be up and running after a year and a half. And then we have biorefineries in Finland, Sweden for sustainable bioethanol, wind power, and today's agenda, the geoheat and geothermal heat, where if you look at our value chain, we aim to be at the right-hand side, both on the medium to large scale geothermal heat production in the long run, and on the left-hand side also what we are already doing is the shallow ground source heat pump business, where we operate 130 heat pumps in our own balance sheet, but located into real estates, heating spaces in the southern and west coast of Finland. And the new area which we are entering well is the Middeep ground source heat pump as well. So this is where we are. So being a fossil company, but doing utmost we can, converting our current business and our current customers into renewable and sustainable energy. On this respect, one of our most sort of a visible project is the Otaniemi Deep Geothermal R&D project, where started on 2016. By the end of this year in June, we completed 2 of the 2 world deepest geothermal wells. So first one 6.4 kilometer, and the second one completed in June 6.1 kilometer, both being water stimulated, first by 19 million liters, the second by 6 million liters, with great success. I can really say that we are very pleased that we have been able, with our expert team, to establish the wells and establish a method with our partners and team how to stimulate in a controlled manner, so that we have been inside the authorities' set limits at all times during stimulation. So now we are going forward with the project cross-follow test around the year end, followed by the detailed design of the above ground piping and pumping works. So why we're doing this? Well, simply because we don't like chimneys. And if you look at just Finland as an example, we still are using in the district heating quite significant amount of fossil fuels, nat gas, as one coal, which is already fading away, but also other means of biomass. And all in all, if you look at the combustion-based technologies or energy means, there still is over 80% used of various technologies based on combustion. And this is something that we aim to get rid of step by step on a controlled manner. And this is just Finland, but we know that the areas we aim to develop, they need to be scalable, not just for Finland, Nordics, but on a European level. And that's why we have also started these deep and mid-deep projects, because the shallow ones are pretty well established already in our home market area, but we see an opportunity to grow and to serve the whole industry in the mid-deep and deep R&D projects we are executing. But as said, we just don't like chimneys. The sustainability and the green values are, of course, a very important aspect, but also we need to ensure and we need to do our best to impact on the cost factor, because our societies, our nations can't afford, our industries can't afford to pay extra for the heating and cooling generated. And one thing is to look at the primary energy cost, but the other, where the legislator and authorities have a great impact, is what kind of a steering mechanisms we put into various energy means. And as in the geoheat and geothermal heat, we talk about a mean of electricity using heat production. Naturally, we need to look at what kind of a tax incentives are set to the electricity which is used to produce heat for district heating, and in a larger scale to a combination of housing companies or real estates. So this is very, very important steering mechanism that needs to be used in a clever way to push forward these kind of a production methods based on electricity usage. But to the challenge, the three areas where we are operating in Finland and to some extent in Sweden as well, and hopefully in other areas of Nordic and Europe. If we look at the conventional ground source heat pump technology, this is very well known tech, but for sure there is a room for improvement. There is a good market out there, it's growing, and the amount of customers, that is housing companies or industry facilities or public facilities, the amount of these connecting off from the district heating and putting instead a ground source heat pump system, that's growing. But the challenge again is the electricity taxation in Finland, which needs to be addressed, especially the cases where the systems are connected to the grid. And the other thing, which seems to be a bit difficult thing, is the permitting process, because it varies quite a lot from city to city. In some areas you can get the permits, the action permit to drill the wells within 2-3 weeks, but in some other areas, especially in the bigger cities, it could take up to 2 to 3 months. And this is a very simple process. It's just a matter of how these permits are processed in the city organization. So this is something that needs to go hand in hand with the target set by the government and set by the cities. On the mid-deep, again, here we see opportunity to work together with the district heating companies owning the grid. So this is a great opportunity together do the technological development to get the mid-deep systems. So I'm talking about from 1,000 meters to 2,000 meters, especially to get the technological sort of methods that these kind of ground source heat pump systems would be competitive euro per megawatt basis. Currently, they are not, but we see already a roadmap ahead how this could be done in the coming year and 2-3 years. And especially in the city areas, this is a valid option because of the land usage. For example, if we step from 600-meter wells to 1,000-meter wells, we can halve the space required for the well field, and this is a lucrative opportunity for the city planners as well. But we need to speed up the R&D, especially on the collector side, but also on the drilling side. And finally, the EGS, what we are piloting in Otaniemi, this is a extremely interesting R&D and development opportunity for Europe. And one can question, why did we do it in Finland where we have the hardest granite rock in the world? Well, because we can. And because we have now proved that it can be done in the hardest granite rock in the world, then it can be done in other places in the world. So this is a very much proof of a concept. Still, things to be done, things to be tested, but already we now know how to make the drilling and how to make the stimulation work in a controlled manner so that we can monitor and control the risks associated. But all in all, how we see it in ST1, we need to work together, both with the government organization. We need to openly work together, especially on the Middeep and EGS side, on various stakeholders, so that we share information, because we would hate that individual projects would do the same mistakes regardless the information that they could have obtained via working a bit more openly together. So this is a joint effort if we really want to make these technologies valid. And the other aspect is that if the government organizations and the EU really wants to make these kind of technologies viable cost-wise as well, like in the wind power, you start with certain amount of subsidies, and this makes the companies accountable to use those kind of supports in a sensible way, so that you are able in a long run to produce these kind of geothermal facilities without any subsidies. That's, in our opinion, the right way to go forward. So thank you for listening, and this was the presentation from ST1 side.
Okay, thank you, Matti. And now we continue with the energy company. So Helen and Sami, please, floor is yours.
Hello, are you able to see?
Yes, yes.
Are you seeing which screen are you seeing now?
Well, there's two slides.
The show or so.
Yeah.
I'll have to hold on a minute.
Now it's in this PDF.
Let me try to put it out. No, it's still.
Yeah, then if you click.
No, it's fine, Sami. If you can click just full screen, it should work. Now we see the coding messages on the screen.
Yes, but you're supposed to see
Yes.
them. But now
Yes,
you are.
exactly.
But now you are
Jos-
not able to see the.
Sami, jos valitset näyttöasetukset, niin sieltä voit vaihtaa näkyvää näyttöä tuolta yläreunasta.
It's much easier to do it in Finnish.
Siitä vaihda ja sitten näkymä. Joo. Sen pitäisi auttaa.
Okay, now, yeah, thanks. Okay. Thank you for the organizers from my side as well. It's great to be here, and shall have a small presentation of our company to everybody. And it's called Journey Towards Carbon Neutral Energy Systems. And first of all, my name is Sami Mustonen, and my background is in Helsinki University of Technology. And I've been working for energy sector for 20 years now. And at the moment, I work for Helen Ltd, which is an energy company owned by City of Helsinki. And over there, my task is to improve our project management processes, and also I have privilege to be involved in our semi-deep geothermal energy project as well. Our vision is to be the most customer-driven energy company in the market, and we want to give everyone the chance to enjoy the opportunities of the new energy area. And this is there has been a great change in let's say in 10 years about this to be customer-oriented company. We used to be the company that sold electricity, heat and cooling, but nowadays we also sell some services. And as an energy company, we have a great responsibility to make some changes to the energy production, and especially when we are in the city area, in urbanization area, we need to have the green energy solutions available. And that's why we have been trying to piloting new energy technologies and products. Some figures about our company. We are about 950 employees, and our net sales is around 900 million euros. We have 1,300 kilometers of district heating network, and then 2,600 kilometers of electricity network. And our electricity network is really reliable. There hasn't been not many circuits, and it's 99.9% secured. And we produce district heat, district cooling, electricity, and also some other services like shallow heat energy for microgeneration, and then we've also been involving for now 10 years with electric traffic, and then also a couple of years now with real estate energy efficiency. And our target is to become carbon neutral in 50 years. So it's quite big task for us. And over here you can see our district heating system. Our usage was last year about 6.6 terawatt hours, which is about 1/5 of Finland's usage. And we have 2 coal-fired power plants, Salmisaari and Hanasari power plant. And Hanasari power plant shall be shut down in 4 years, and the Salmisaari plant shall be shut down in 9 years. So this means that we have to do something to replace the amount of energy. And then also we have CHP natural gas plant in Vuosaari. And then we are building at the moment a new bioenergy heating plant in Vuosaari with capacity of 250 megawatts. The commercial use shall be in 2023. And then also we have some 10 different heating plants fired with natural gas pellets or heavy, fuel oil. And then also we have heat pumps with capacity a bit over 100 megawatts and a bit under 100 cooling. And then also we are building at this point Mustikkamaa heat storage. And over here is a picture of it. And we shall use our old oil cavern storages, which has capacity of 260,000 cubic meters, and we can load district heating water up to 100 megawatts into that cavern storage, and we are able to load the network in 4 days, so it's quite significant for us in the future. So what shall we do since our coal-fired plants are closing down? First of all, I'm going to show with Hanasari what shall we do. Hanasari heat production is around 400 megawatts at this point, and we're going to increase amount of heat pumps, and hopefully we shall have also some geothermal heat, and then we're going to do some heat trade and maybe some regional renewable solutions. And then of course we have, as I mentioned, we are building this Vuosaari bioenergy heating plant, and with this we are able to replace the amount of heat coming out of Hanasari power plant. So what about Salmisaari coal-fired power plants? There are several options, and we are looking them at this point. One of them is Neste Oil refineries waste heat, and we might be using that, and it's under investigation. Then also we might have some seawater heat pumps coming from a distance. That means that we would have to build a great tunnel in the middle of Baltic, Finnish Gulf Sea. And then also there's some geothermal potential, some electric boilers, most likely maybe some data centers and other industrial waste. So it's a combination with all of these, but the decisions have to be made in the near future, so we are able to meet the deadline in 9 years. Sorry, one. And over here on the left side, you can see our traditional electricity network, electricity production, heating production, and cooling production. So this used to be the case that we only had these, but nowadays we have also these other solutions as well for the customers. And this means that when we're going to have these different kind of solutions for different customers, and also the production will be quite complex. We shall have different types of renewable productions. So it means that we shall have quite complex energy system in our hands. But this is what it's going to be all over Europe or all over the world, as I would say. Then, as I mentioned, different kind of products we have. We have now also have designated electricity panels, so everybody can buy the electricity panel and pay some monthly fee and get the electricity panels production. We also have some virtual batteries, so if you produce now some electricity with the solar panel and you don't want to use it, so you can put it as a side and use it later. And then also we are a pioneer in electric traffic. Finland's first public on-street charging point was done 10 years ago in Finland, and this shall be increasing in the near future. And then also we have some real estate or household services. We have now this, it's called Kiinteistövahti, and actually it's a range of products, and it has been already in use in 50,000 homes. But the main idea is that we measure the temperature and moisture in the apartments and then make some adjustments to the heating, and savings might be up to 5 to 10% in that case. But so we have quite a trip towards carbon neutral energy production. In 15 years, it means a lot of things has to be done. Some of the things has already decided, but there are still more open questions. What shall we do to achieve this target? But everything happens together, and we need everybody's help in that and to meet the renewable future. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sami. Interesting. And now, Simo, please, floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Let me open my presentation. So here we go. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Simo Hääpä, and I work for the Helsinki-Uusimaa Regional Council. Helsinki-Uusimaa Regional Council is a joint regional authority of 26 municipalities, and our main tasks are basically regional planning and then promotion of local and regional interests of the municipalities in this region. I work as an advisor on climate change issues. I'm employed through this Kanemure project, the logo of which you can see there in the corner. It's a six-year-long project financed by the EU Life program, and basically the acronym means towards carbon neutral municipalities and regions. So we are now compiling a roadmap towards carbon neutral Helsinki-Uusimaa region by 2035, and through this Kanemure project, these roadmaps are now made in 7 different regions within Finland simultaneously by the respective regional authorities or other stakeholders. Just to put you on the map, Helsinki-Uusimaa region is located here in the south of Finland. You can imagine city of Helsinki and the capital region just about right in the middle of this region on the coast. And although we are not that big in size, we have quite a large share of the national greenhouse gas emissions, 21% in 2018. And if you look at how the let's see, there we go. If we look at how the greenhouse gas emissions have evolved over the years, starting from 2005, well, the first thing to notice is that the emissions from heating and traffic are the main ones, and you can also see that they have remained quite stable. The emissions have gone down something like 11% in total over the years. But of course, you have to take into account that we are a growing region, and emissions per capita have dropped some just about a little over 20% during this time. But yeah, you could say that the emissions from heating still dominate this picture, and largely, as we heard, this is due to the use of fossil fuels that is still the case, especially in the heat and electricity production within the capital region. Although, as you of course saw, novel means of greening the production are on the way, and there's a strong will of getting rid of the fossil fuels in the production. And you can also note that this big picture is hiding the positive development in many of the municipalities in our region. Many of the smaller municipalities have recently, over the past few years, invested in biofuels, and their heating-related emissions have gone down quite drastically. So, but I suppose the real reason why I'm here today is that we recently commissioned a survey on the geoenergy potential of Helsinki-Uusimaa region, and this study was commissioned together by us and the Uusimaa Center for Economic Development, Transport and Environment, and it was provided for us by the Geological Survey of Finland. And it's soon to be completed, but I can already show you the main results of the study. As you heard of the nice examples from the ST1 case, deep geothermal energy usage, there have been quite a few of these interesting developments on this field, and that is basically the reason why we got interested in this theme. In this survey, we wanted to map the potential of both shallow, mid-range, and deep geothermal energy for the whole of Helsinki-Uusimaa region. We also wanted to identify regional variations in the geoenergy potential, and to identify some constraints and impacts of when the utilizing the potential is considered. Well, I suppose for this audience, this all is quite well known. So as the main technical fact, we studied the geothermal potential from one single well. This would be the annual heat potential that is extractable when over a 50-year period, when the heat content or the temperature of the bedrock is lowered to 0 degrees Celsius, and this applies to shallow and mid-deep geothermal energy, and then for the deep geothermal energy, we calculated total extractable amount per cubic kilometer of bedrock. Going forward, Geological Survey of Finland did this study as a desk study, utilizing sorry for the typo, soil type, utilizing the data that they already had at hand. So different kinds of soil type maps, bedrock maps, borehole data, determining the depth of the soils, and for determining the depth of the soils, and so on. And the results of this survey were quite good for our region. We basically found out that sort of valuing the potential in terms of cost benefit compared to the rest of Finland, we can say that we have areas that are excellent, but basically the potential of the whole region is very good for the production of geothermal energy, basically on all depths. This is the first map. This is the shallow geoenergy or ground heat potential, and from the map you can readily see that we have some sort of regional hotspots, and we are also quite happy that some of them are located in or very close to the capital region, where the heat energy usage is the largest. The bright red color there on the eastern Helsinki-Uusimaa region is the granite belt that extends towards the eastern border of Finland. For our survey, GTK also did a sort of groundbreaking study on the potential of Middeep geothermal potential. So this sort of regional outlook of Middeep geothermal potential has never been done before, and here you can also see that the sort of similar hotspots can be identified, but the overall situation with this type of geothermal energy is very good in general. And of course, the extractable heat energy is about 10 times bigger than what you would have in the shallow geothermal energy. Then for the deep geothermal energy, we had a bit of a different approach in terms of calculating the potential. Overall, we can find that in some areas we can already extract deep geothermal energy in the depth of 4 to 5 kilometers, but more generally, starting from 5 kilometers, we start to find temperatures above 70 degrees Celsius that are already warm enough for the circulated water to take directly into the district heating systems without the help of additional heat pumps. And of course, the deeper you go, the larger the potential becomes. And to my understanding, the potential found in these deep layers is quite substantial as well. Okay. Well, of course, what we can provide at this point is just an overview of the geothermal potential, and whenever real-life geothermal extraction projects are planned, there is a number of bordering conditions that have to be taken into account, and additional surveys are always needed. Apparently, this sort of bordering conditions can vary very rapidly from one plot to another, even, and this is why you always have to have more defined surveys when planning these projects. Well, for discussion, I thought I would leave some points. We, as the commissioners of this survey, would very much like to see that also the centralized applications of geothermal energy would be taken into use. One important aspect is that this would help us utilize geothermal energy in a safe way in groundwater areas and in their vicinity. For Finland, storing heat energy in energy wells is also a viable option in enhancing the productivity of these systems, and our sort of relatively cool bedrock also allows for this for cooling systems to take advantage of the geothermal potential. As a I don't know, food for thought, we did this quick overlay of the existing heat power plant network on top of the in this case Middeep geothermal energy map, and this gives a sort of indication where we would have district heating networks and connection points ready, and at least to our liking, they quite nicely interact with these hotspots that can be identified. So after we showed these maps for the first time, quite a few electricity companies also already showed interest in these findings, and we very much hope that this technology kicks in, and that these very nice examples of groundbreaking new technologies, such as the one, just as this deep geothermal project in Otaniemi, would show us the way to a cleaner future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Simo, and Matti and Sami also. So I think we're able to start our discussion on sector, and so from the audience, if you have questions, please provide questions, and we try to answer and discuss based on those. So I guess if you, Matti, Sami, and Simo can share your camera, so that we can start. And actually, we have a first question from the audience, and it's to you, Matti. And it's why would ST1 try to limit emission from the chimney if you use a residual biomass from the wood processing industry?
Well, it's not a bit complex thing to answer. In ST1 opinion, the less we emit whatever CO2, the better. Because we have just agreed that the biomass is a neutral, CO2 neutral, but our problem is that we have far too much CO2 in the atmosphere, and we should find ways to get the additional, the extra CO2 off the atmosphere. So if you keep on burning whatever, biomass or whatever, yes, it's neutral, but you don't reduce, and that's our biggest problem.
Yes. Okay. Good. And I will see the chat. But then let's start. I have a question for all of you. And perhaps if we start with Sami, Simo, and Matti. So if we look in the renewable energy sector in Finland, and in your opinion, what changes are needed to increase the overall use of renewable energy? Or do you think that we are actually working very fine at the moment, and everything is on a right track? What is your opinion about that?
Well, it's a complex question, I would say.
Yeah.
Of course, as Matti said about the licensing, it's of course important issue when you are doing something new, that you're actually able to do it if you are willing. So that's one question. And then of course taxes is really important for example in our case, when you look at the heat pumps, when our government is reducing taxes and lowering it, so of course it will increase the amount of heat pumps. And then of course the governmental support is important. If you, as also Matti mentioned about the wind power support, so it's going to be maybe 2 to 3 billion euros total in Finland. So maybe it's a good idea to give to somebody else as well, so they can do some renewable energy. And also if you have a must that you have to do something, as in our case that we have to get rid of the coal, so then we have to figure out how to replace it.
What about Simo, in your opinion or in your perspective?
Well, I suppose from our side, we are very happy to hear this from the practitioners themselves. They know better what the challenges are. From what we see is that there's a strong will to promote promote the usage of renewable energy, and it seems to be cost effective enough. So I think for one fun, what we need is just a bit of a courage to invest in these new technologies, and we are very happy that you have already started to provide with very positive examples of how these new technologies can be utilized. We constantly seem to find new ways of using heat pumps, and you know, the processes taking us away from combustion seem to be going on nicely. So for your question, I think we are on the right track, but we could perhaps turn up the pace a bit. We start to be in a hurry. 15 years is quite a short time in turning this region carbon neutral.
Yes. And Matti, your opinion of the whole situation?
Yeah, well, looking at the big picture and the enablers, we are talking quite a lot, and which is good. We're talking a lot about sustainable energy, but equally, I would like to address sustainable politics, because as I mentioned earlier, we need to have enablers, and when you are creating and developing something new, it's quite costly compared to the very cheap energy we are used to currently. And the very cheap fossil energy is sort of a punished rightly with high taxes. And those high taxes should be converted into R&D work in converting the fossil energy to sustainable and renewable energy. And this sort of a turns to the politicians that in Finland, 4 years, it's extremely challenging to get a big issues forward, but 4 years after 4 years after 4 years, you need to be sustainable in your political steering mechanisms and decisions, because we are in a very capital intensive business. On the other end, you have waste heat, which is sort of a additional thing. On the other end, you have very capital intensive geothermal facilities and plants. And in between, you have the biomass, various heating plants, sort of buildings and investments. So we need to look things at long term, and that requires sustainable politics, so that we can adapt by plant and convert them into something else than fossil or combustion techniques. But your question, we are on the right track, but be patient.
Okay, thanks. And So there's a question from audience. I guess this is mainly for Sami. Have you ever thought about wind or solar heating for district heating?
Well, we have solar heating. One small case in one school area. We have used solar heating, but it only produces maybe 5% of the annual demand, and they have also some shallow thermal wells there. I think 21, if I remember correctly, 300 meter wells. So that's the main source of the energy. And about the wind, of course, maybe in the future, as we invested now in this fall for a wind park, so maybe that's also possible. But there hasn't been any actual plans yet. But maybe in the future it might be possible.
Okay, good. Then there's a question. I think this is mainly for Matti, but of course Sami or Simo can also answer. There's a question: is a geothermal heat plant financially viable, having in mind the high drilling costs?
Depending on the depths. The shallow ones, yes. The mid-deep, we are getting closer, but not yet. And mainly we need to work. The drilling is as such not the issue. We have done with our subsidy company already 1,000 meters, 1,200 meter wells. So that's no technique. But the collector technique, the coaxial collector technique is something that we are working currently. And we already see how it can be made viable option, euros per megawatt. EGS, we need to do development. The theoretical cost, production cost regarding the investment cost and the operating cost, it's viable, but there are still big risks associated, especially on the geophysics side.
Okay, yes. And I guess we are now getting quite many questions. I try to keep on track those. So I think this is Matti again. What are the challenges of going deeper and in a closed loop? Where is the diminishing return for heating and cooling application? Well, I guess you already quite have answered this, but
yeah, it's the collector technique. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Yes, and I guess this is for Sami. Apologize, this is a question. There's a lot of things, but I will read it as it has been asked. In the case study of how will be replaced the heat production of the coal plant that will be closed, it was shown that the most important replacement will come from the biofuel plant, which is still CO2 emitting. How do you think this problem will be solved in the future from the perspective of the goal, CO2 neutral region? And well, I guess that's the first question. Let's go question by question.
Well, that's the main or the biggest one, because it's a huge plant and it's going to replace the coal. But then of course there's a carbon capture options that we are investigating as well. So that's but of course it's not today yet, but hopefully in the future we are able to capture the CO2 from the plants.
Yes. Well, I have a question to Simo. So as a regional council, what is your way to or most effective options? How can you promote, or how can regional council can promote the use of renewable energy? And do you have some successful examples on your mind?
Oh, well, cooperation has been mentioned many times today, and I suppose that would be our main asset. I mean, we are in the service of the municipalities of the region and other stakeholders of the region, and sort of try to ignite cooperation between different actors. We try to keep up these issues. We try to give advice. We try to promote good examples and also provide with these surveys and assessments, as you have seen today. On previous years, we have studied the potential of wind power production in many occasions. We made a study on the use of solar energy in Helsinki-Uusimaa region a couple of years ago, and now then the geoenergy assessment. So basically, this sort of means of helping the regional actors forward with these issues would be pretty much in our role. To some extent, we also provide funding. EU funding is then partly channeled through us, and of course now with all the hardships that Corona has brought in, it has also provided us with an opportunity to perhaps take new turns in forms of Corona recovery funding, which will partly be channeled towards these sustainable solutions, and clean energy production is heavily involved in these plans for Helsinki-Uusimaa region.
Okay, thank you. So I think we have time for last questions to Sami and Matti. So Sami, you had over 1,300 meters of district heating networking under the Helsinki. So if you are increasing, or well, when you are increasing the renewable energy production, does this mean that the district heating network has to be somehow changed also?
Well, I don't think so. It's well, of course, maybe some bottlenecks if there is some bigger renewable plant which is producing district heat, but otherwise, I think it's just important that the temperature is sufficient for the district heating network, so we are able to put it in there. And as I mentioned, that there might be different solutions, so we might have different places for also the different solutions that share the bottlenecks in the network. But it's possible to put any kind of district heat. It doesn't matter how it's produced.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Then we have one issue left, which is peat, which is quite a hot potato at the moment in Finland. And so, Matti, what's your opinion? How will peat production? Well, we have to shut it down, and I saw in your slide that you were assuming it happened in 2040. So, what's your opinion? How should we handle that, and how that should be done?
Well, I was afraid you might take this up. This is a bit loaded question, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, now I have to be a bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. On the other side, it's an industry in Finland. There are people working within that industry, and on the other hand, on the fossil business, they use quite a lot of off-road diesel in their business, so they are good customers, and we cherish them accordingly. But as it's not being classified as renewable, which is understandable, although we would have lots of it, so we would cover our energy need with it. But still, it's based on combustion. But this is the thing that I mentioned earlier, that we need to be patient. Now there's a decision to phase out coal, and for example, Helsinki Energy is doing an excellent job. They have been doing it even before it was decided to get rid of the coal. And when we go further, and as said, there are facilities and heat plants with long-term investments. We need to do this in a controlled manner, phased out in a way that it doesn't become for the nation too expensive to substitute peat or any biomass with the other means of heat production. But at the end of the day, it's clear that we will put firstly tax burden on these kind of energy means, and eventually there will be a restrictions for peat as well. So the 2040 is one sort of a educated guesstimate we have done when this might be able to happen. But it means that we need to do things today. We need to develop the alternative means, because the whole system most likely can't be relying on large individual plants in the future, but several mid-size and small facilities along the grid. And again, I think Helsinki Energy has been doing an excellent work in going forward into that direction. So this is absolutely the right way to go. But yeah, it will fade away eventually. But let's not do rash decisions, but make the best use of the capital invested, and make sure that the substitute means like geothermal is a valid option, both technically and commercially, when the ultimate denial comes into force.
Okay. So thank you. I think our time is up. I really thank you, Simo, Sami, and Matti, for interesting presentation and discussion, and thank you for the audience. You were there to listen and had very good questions. So I think we have final remarks from EGEC side. So from my side, thank you and happy rest of the week. We say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all, and thank you, Teppo, for moderating this session. It has been extremely interesting. Just a few final points. I would like to point out that this webinar was organized once again by the Renewable Heating and Cooling platform, which is an EU-funded project. And if you are interested to become a member of the platform, is free of charge, and you can contact the secretariat of the platform. The email address, you see it on the screen, and also address to us any questions that you might have on the policy side, on the research and innovation side about the renewable energy sources in heating and cooling. So thank you very much for the audience for having the interest and patience to stay with us until the end. And I wish everyone a great day.